Hey guys, Dr. Ben here at the Functional Medicine Center, and today I'm going to go over something that is so prevalent in this country. Get this, over 20% of the people in this country have been diagnosed with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. That's just straight up full diagnosis from doctors. That's not just people that are having digestion issues, anything else, but people that have been truly diagnosed with IBS. What is irritable bowel syndrome? Well, irritable bowel syndrome is a syndrome. Anytime you hear the word syndrome at the end of something, think of it not as a true diagnosis, but as a clump of symptoms. So chronic fatigue syndrome. Well, what is it? Well, it could be any number of things. There could be an adrenal involvement, a thyroid involvement, it could be anemia, it could be all types of different things causing somebody to have that fatigue. Just like the irritable bowel syndrome, it can be a lot of different things that can contribute to that irritable bowel. What does that mean? Well, it could be gas, it could be bloating, it could be diarrhea, constipation. A lot of different things will get clumped into IBS. So what does that mean? Well, you've got to be able to figure out the why. You've got to be able to figure out why the body is irritated, why that gut is irritated. One of the things that you may have heard of is a low FODMAP diet. What is a low FODMAP diet? That is basically, the FODMAPs are going to be different types of foods that are going to convert into starches in the gut, and those starches are going to do different things. In a normal, healthy, functioning gut, those starches are great. They're going to feed the good bacteria. That's our microbiome. It's going to feed that good bacteria, and that's going to help that healing and a lot of good defense things that are going on in that digestive tract. But in people where their microbiome is out of balance, where that mucosal lining is really damaged, they're going to actually have problems with higher FODMAP foods. But so many people come in like, oh, I'm on this low FODMAP diet, or I tried a low FODMAP diet. Some people will get better, and then others won't see changes at all. But what we do know, and what the research is now showing, is that a low FODMAP diet for the duration for quite a while is actually problematic as well. So that's not a long-term solution. Sometimes it can alleviate symptoms, and people will be like, wow, I feel a little bit better not having those higher FODMAP foods in there. Foods that are going to be more starchy, can contribute to more of that that fermentation in there, those fermentable foods. But taking those out is not the long-term solution, and a lot of people ultimately they do need more fermented foods. If you look at our history throughout the years, sauerkraut, kimchi, so many different fermented foods out there have been used over and over and over, and it's very helpful for our microbiome, for our digestive tract. So what happens with IBS, and why is that microbiome, why is that whole connection between bacteria and our digestive tract so important? Well, there's a communication that takes place between the good bacteria and what's called the mucosal lining. So we've got all these nooks and crannies in our digestive tract. It increases the surface area. If you took the surface area of the digestive tract and spread it all the way out, it would cover almost an entire tennis court. Over 22 feet long tube is our digestive tract, but it's got all these nooks and crannies that when we spread it out, it would cover almost an entire tennis court. Pretty amazing. So there's this lining of that called the mucosal lining, which has a communication with the good bacteria, and that good bacteria is going to be able to tell it to maintain its integrity, things like that. But if that microbiome gets out of balance, that microbiome is not going to tell it to keep those, they call them tight junctions, keep them closed, and they can spread open, and that's when we get what's termed leaky gut. So a lot of different things can contribute to leaky gut, but the microbiome and this low bacterial function is a huge part of it. So a lot of people go, great, I'll run down to Walmart, run down to the natural grocers, whatever it is, and buy some probiotics. But guess what? That's not the whole story. Just taking a probiotic is not going to fix this problem. multiple things have happened. One, the bad stuff has gotten so high and the good stuff is down here. Just by taking a little good stuff, or in the case of some probiotics, billions and billions of them, is not going to be enough to knock down the bad stuff. So that's with our patients, we go through once, twice, 3 times, depends on the person, and we'll knock down the bad stuff and build up the good stuff. And that's when we truly start changing that microbiome, start changing that state so that the communication can take place. Not just about healing up the gut and IBS issues, but we're talking about the brain as well. And the research is showing that there's a gut-brain connection, that gut communicates directly to the brain, and they're seeing Parkinson's even starts and originates in the gut and works its way up to the brain. Lots of different things emotionally, mentally. There's more serotonin receptors in the digestive tract than we have in our brain. So if our gut is out of balance, it's not just I get gas, bloating, indigestion, reflux, constipation, diarrhea, whatever. Those are just, okay, wow, I feel bad. But the things that we see otherwise, they're going to lead to autoimmune conditions, they're going to lead to depression, brain imbalances, ADD, all types of different things. So what do? Well, you've got to start with the basics, and we call them the 4 R's. And these are going to be, we remove certain things. So remove certain foods. Some people, that could be a gluten, a dairy, a corn, a soy, eggs, various things for various people are going to cause irritation in that digestive tract. The research shows with gluten, it'll actually irritate those little finger-like projections in that mucosa in the digestive tract as well, to the point where they're chewed down to nubs and hardly absorbing very well. We can remove parasites, bad bacteria, yeast, viruses, all these different things that we see in the gut. We've got to get rid of those. So we remove those. Then we replace, and sometimes we have to replace stomach acid, enzymes, different things short term to get that digestive tract rebuilding. And then there's that third one, and that's the rebuilding, and that's going to be rebuild that gut lining, all types of different things. Glutamine, marshmallow root, aloe vera, bunch of different things are going to help restore that gut lining. But if you're continually irritating it, you can take all the glutamine, all the good stuff that you want, but you've got to calm down that damage first and then rebuild that gut lining. And it can happen. We've had pre and post upper and lower GIs done, and we'll see dramatic changes in people in that gut lining. And then the last one is what we look at with the reinoculation. Reinoculate that good bacteria. So that's not the first place to go. Don't just load up on a bunch of probiotics. That's not going to fix it either. But you've got to take it step by step through that process to rebuild, repair that digestive tract. Again, over 20% of the population has been diagnosed with IBS. Amazing when you think about it. And really how simple it is. We reverse digestive issues all the time in people, and it's amazing how, I'm not going to say simple, because some people it takes a little bit more work than others, but it's not rocket science. These aren't like, oh my gosh, you've got to do all these stool tests and do all these different things and figure it out. No, sometimes you don't even have to know exactly what's out of balance, but you can go through the steps and fix those issues. So we've got to start from the ground floor. For those people that truly can't, look up this one, fecal transplant. Lots of research showing out there, #1 treatment for C. diff, which is an antibiotic-resistant bacteria that is present in hospitals that a lot of people will get from being in the hospital. That's fecal transplant is that #1 treatment for that. But for some people, their microbiome is so bad that they ultimately have to go down that road. And you can YouTube that one if you want to see what that process is like. But first and foremost, you've got to start figuring out where those underlying imbalances are. Fix the brain. If we're in a constant fight or flight pattern, sympathetic dominant, we're going to be always on that go. That's going to cause damage to the gut lining. That's going to not let us produce our stomach acid like we need to, not get the enzymes out there. We've got to calm that brain down. So many different steps through the process. but it is a process, and that's what we tell patients all the time as we go through it. You've got to trust the process, that we know we're going in that right direction. We're healing each step by step, and the body can heal, it can repair. And if you've got any questions at all, again, 20% of you watching this are probably dealing with some type of IBS, some type of digestion issue, and it can be fixed, it can be healed. Shoot any messages over, any questions. Share this with anybody you know that has digestion issues. Crucial part of their life. If they can get this better, so many other things are going to get better. So make it a great day, guys, and drop us a line if you got any questions.